Well, hello and welcome. I'm Denny Stephenson. We're here in Denver, Colorado, in Power Field for the PulpMX Fantasy Challenge. That, I think, felt like monster truck. And brought to you by Verb Moto. We got some points right there. Had 3 days left, 50 times the bonus site-wide. Get entered at shopverb.com. I'm joined by two outstanding riders who are good enough, I guess, to say that aren't in this race today. Could take that either way. Kyle Chisholm, Cade Clason. You both raced this before. What are your thoughts on this event? Obviously, Steve goes a lot of work, a lot of money involved. Is it all or nothing or what?
It is. It's exciting. It's going to be exciting to watch. I raced it 2 years ago. I won. Made me start in the second row. So it was exciting. But it's awesome what Steve does, raising the money. That year, I was a privateer. I did good that year, but I did spend my own money, racing. So
sure, it's not cheap.
And that race made the year worth it. It was awesome what Steve did, so big thanks to him.
Hey, Cade, you got second last year, the first time it was televised, the third annual here right down today. You just missed it. You started way back. We're going to check it out here in a second. What do you think is going to get it done? Two motos here, completely different format. Steve, the mad scientist, has gone crazy today.
It's a wild format. Last year it was 10+1, so I was able to pick my way through the field. I started way in the back. Where this year you will not have that luxury. You're going to have to get a good start in the first main, get a good finish, but then you're starting in the back second main, and you got to be able to pass guys as fast as you can and get up there.
Yeah, it's a crazy format, but let's just take a quick look at 2023 and see how things went down. So, Cade, you're on the gate. Kyle, I'm sure you were watching this at home.
Yep.
Obviously, Cade, you did not get a great start. Someone else gets the whole shot, and you're buried way back in the pack. What's going through your head at this moment?
I was in desperation mode at this point in time. Good dude started up front with Marquier, who finished on the podium as well. And, yeah, I mean, you look at me, I'm way back in 16th. So I would not have had that luxury this year to get myself up to the front.
And we're seeing right now Lane Shaw out front, Chase Marquis, who's in second. He ends up third in the final race. But there's a battle. Freddie Noren, he's trying to come through the pack, and he's got a good section on the track where he makes up a lot of time. Yeah. And also throws it away on it.
He throws it away, yeah. And that was the hard part last year, where we get 1 5-minute practice. That's all you get to learn this track. And coming here to a place with altitude, your bike is so different. So you have to be able to make changes and get your bike comfy for you right off the rip.
Yeah, you see right there, Freddie getting that section like we just said. And like Kate said, you get 5 minutes, which is less than normal.
Right.
And the bikes are slower. So that's the biggest thing, honestly, time on the track and getting used to the power of your bike. And Freddie figured it out quick, and he was up there. I thought he was going to win it for sure when I was watching last year.
He did pull the cork early. He was blitzing through the whoops really fast. We also have practice going right now in what you said, only a short 5-minute run. So, again, whoever can get this track figured out the quickest is going to be a big help as we see Freddie Noren going down while he was leading the race.
Yes.
How much money did he throw away and leave right there? It might be still down there.
A lot of money, yeah. And just
30+ grand, I think. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you just saw Hunter Yoder. He was a wild card last year, one of the 250 guys. He was the highest placing 250 last year, finishing 4th.
But we see out front Josh Cartwright, who's coming in this season a little bit more under the radar, although he has the red plate, number 1 on it. He hasn't had quite the year in the main events that he had last year. Are we looking at Josh as a favorite going within that number 1, or is that weight of that thing going to be a burden?
Josh, obviously while he's in the race, hasn't had the best year for him like he did last year. So I think it might be tough, but he could do it.
And anything's possible this year with the 5 minutes double inverted starts. That's what I love about Steve is he wanted to make more chaos. He heard the guys were kind of cruising. But we're going to throw it down to Steve right now, the mad scientist, and see what he has to say about this crazy deal from the Canadian.
Thanks, Debo. So last year, a couple of riders told me, man, I was happy to cruise around in 5th and 6th place because I knew that was $7 grand or $8 grand or whatever, so I was just going to take that and go home. That's bullshit. I wanted to change things up this year, cause some chaos. 2 5-minute +1 main events, stagger start for the second one, 22nd up front, 1st in the back. Lowest score wins, Olympic-style scoring. Tiebreak is the second moto. Motos are 5 minutes +1. And for the gate drop for the first moto, we're going to draw 3 ping pong balls on reverse order, regular point scoring order, or half and half. Let chaos reign.
Well, we just heard from Steve, the mastermind of this chaotic deal and how the format's going to change. We've all talked about it a little bit beforehand. What's going to happen tonight? I mean, or today, you got a good start. There's some ping pong craziness going on there. So that even the number 1 plate might not get the best pick position. And then if you win the main, you're inverted. You're going to be back row or last in the single file. What are you going for here? Who's going to win this thing?
I think it's tough. You know, you go out and have a good first moto, and you win it, and you're pumped, but then you're starting single file in the back. And in a short race with a lot of good riders, I don't know how much you're going to move up through the pack. So I really feel like you might see a 4-7 win this thing or something like that. You know, it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely, and it's never happened before. So that's the crazy thing. These guys don't even know what to think of. The Triple Crowns, we've seen some wild stuff there. Cade, what would be your instinct coming into this?
I would definitely want to win the first one. I'd put all my effort into making sure I get that one going into the second race. That way you have the lowest score possible. And that way you're also right behind who essentially are the best guys. They're going to be right in front of you. You can use them to help pick your way through the field because the essentially slowest guys are going to be at the front, and they're going to kind of bunch up the field. And if you can pass guys in bunches, that's going to help your success of getting to the front. I think there's definitely going to be somebody who picks their way through really fast and breaks away and wins the second one, but that guy probably had a crappy moto the first time.
Right, and you guys are both pretty clean riders. Avoid as much contact as possible, although I have seen you in last chance qualifiers. How many guys will be sawing off some front wheels out there?
I mean, I'm sure it's going to happen. There's a lot of money on the line for these guys especially. So, yeah, and like what Cade just said, those front guys might bunch up that second moto if their slower guys are up front. But that's what's going to make it tough is you're going to have to be coming through the pack trying to pass people and take their front wheel off, but somebody's going to be doing it to you too.
It's going to get really tight. There's not a lot of room, especially like you said, the best racers usually when there's a guy out front who's fast enough to stay out front but then bunches everybody up, and I think that's what's going to make things great. And coming in with a one, coming from last place, you're going to have to just kind of like, okay, we got to kind of set the standard here and set the pace for everybody else, even though you're going to have to start making some passes early.
Exactly. I
All
totally
right.
agree.
Let's check out the starting lineup, and we got some talented riders. We got 17 riders who qualified through the last chance points from the 450 class, and we have 5 riders who Steve picked randomly from the 250 class, and we have some very talented 250 riders in Welton, Henry Miller, guys who ran top 10 this year.
Yeah, Welton and Henry Miller are both fantastic riders. They are both going to be riding their 250s. That was a stipulation Steve made as part of the agreement they got in. All of the wild cards are on 250s this year, which I think is cool. They don't necessarily have the opportunity to qualify for this race because you earn points through 5th to last in the 450 LCQ. But then, man, there is a stacked field of good 450 dudes we all think could win. I mean, it's hard to decide who on this list is going to actually win.
And I think I threw out earlier that maybe the fastest guy might not win this thing with this format.
Oh, 100% not.
I don't think it's hard. I've had people ask me, I don't think there is one favorite. You know, I don't think there is really one guy that's like, oh, he should win this.
Absolutely.
So makes it fun to watch.
So that's what we're going to look forward to. I'm looking forward to who brings out the most aggression. 5 minutes, we're talking about, maybe 8 laps, 5 minutes plus 1. So we're going to see this early in the quick main. They're out here practicing right now, getting a chance to feel out the track. What's your first instinct when you're on practice and you know that, man, I'm out here for a quick little bit and then I got to go racing? Do you make things happen really fast? Do you fall on somebody behind you you're confident with and kind of set the pace together, or you just go out alone?
Personally, I would go out alone. You don't want to take too many big risks in this practice because after practice, there's only about 15 minutes before they're loading the gate.
Sure.
So if you go and bend your bars, you might not be able to change your bars or something like that. So, but the other thing is you have to learn these jumps, right? You have to figure out what triples in the rhythm sections you're going to do, but you have to do it smart, and that's very tough. We've been sitting here watching these guys OJ this triple into this flat corner, and that is not a fun feeling going into a main. You know, you build comfort throughout a race day. You get 3 practices. You get to constantly just get a little bit better, a little bit better. Not today. You're coming out at altitude. You are going to have to send it right off the rip.
Yeah, and like you just said, we've seen guys overjumping and missing their timing. That's a lot due to the altitude. The bike's being slower, and you're trying to learn your bike. How much gas do you need to give it? Because it's not the same as normal, and it's that's something you got to figure out in a very short time.
And even though we're seeing very similar tracks throughout the season, we see a lot of similar obstacles on this track we've seen previous this year, but the altitude is going to create a big change than you guys have been used to.
The altitude and this dirt, it's a really hard base normally. But when they build this track, once it's built, they take a rake and a rototiller and they actually mix in a sand. So I had the opportunity to ride the track early this morning, and it was like riding at Southwick. Like, I could barely do some of the jumps. And then I watched the afternoon press. It looked like it got slightly better. And then now these guys are riding, and it looks like it's getting significantly better. So I think the track's going to get better and better throughout the weekend. But that's part of it. Like, we just see this guy lose the front off the face of the step-on, step-off. But, man, it's going to be tough to learn it and then be comfy to go send it for 8 laps, take a quick break, and then send it for another 8 laps.
And it's also that second main event. There's a little bit of discrepancy in speed here, you know, from top to bottom. Some guys that are fast, but they're just maybe not in the level of some of the guys up front. They're going to be leading this second main event, like you'd said. You got to, when you're racing that close, there's guys in front of you got to trust. Are these guys that know well enough who's leading these races, whether or not they're going to jump through these rhythms or not?
I think a lot of them probably, maybe not the 250 guys, but a lot of them have probably raced each other enough to know. But they're going to be going for it.
It's kind of like when you go to Europe, you know, and you're racing against guys you've never known before.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't know who's going to send it and who's not.
Yeah, it's unpredictable, right? You know, is that guy going to come clean me out? He's going to race me clean. Is he super aggressive? Is he not? You could have a little bit of that, like you said.
The one thing I will say, there's 3 90-degree corners in a row on this track. And those 90-degree corners, you go outside to set up for the rhythm.
Sure.
And if somebody is, like, even close to your rear wheel, they're cutting across the inside and they're putting you through the blocks. This is the type of race where there's really no rules. Like, it's all on the line to try and win it. It's like, it's basically a championship for most of these guys, but it's one race to win it all.
And we're looking at practice right now, and we're looking at, like, this corner in front of us. Hardly anybody's in these 90s, like Cade just said. They're not going to the inside because it's not the fast line. At altitude, the bikes are slow. You need to keep your momentum up and rail those outsides. So you look, nobody even goes to the inside. But when it's race time, you watch guys diving to the inside.
Pinning it, blocking as much as you could, yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
And we're seeing, like you said, a lot of sand in this, but it is a hard base, as you mentioned, Cade, that they had monster trucks in here last week, and we all know that makes for a concrete base. But it is a little softer than what we've seen in the past in Denver. Salt Lake City's coming up next week. Again, a hard pack track in altitude. And we've had a lot of ruddy races this year. Are these guys really going to be used so accustomed to this track being as hard packed as it's probably going to get by that second main event?
I think we're all pretty happy.
Yeah,
to not have
I bet. Not ankle deep ruts and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very different for sure. But I think a lot of us practice on tracks that have a harder base, so it's a little bit easier to get accustomed to. I also think it evens out the racing a little bit when it's more hard like this.
Yeah.
You can make mistakes and not, explode yourself and be catastrophic.
There's always a good safety factor when there's not a lot of ruts on the face, and you got to pick one where you got to land.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a challenging year for all you guys.
Yeah, I enjoy the tracks when they get rutted and stuff, but we've just had an overwhelming amount of them this year. Every weekend it seems like that. So it's nice when the track's a little bit more hard pack. You can move around the track a little freer and kind of square up and set up passes a little bit more.
It's a little bit, you got more room to move. You're not locked in the bowl corner and the ruts like that.
Yep. You're not jumping from one rut to the next.
Yeah, and also, though, with the 90-degree corners, as Cade brought up, it's a little harder to pass in 90s. It kind of prevents the fast lines usually flowing. I think we see about 3 or 4 really good 90s or 180s where that's where you come really in park or come to park, knock someone down, Vince freestyle. Let's say.
Block pass, the classic block pass, yep.
And is that something you want to risk during the race? Is that something you want to wait? Because, as we've both said, everybody's going to be going for it. But if you're starting to create enemies real early, and if you're messing up, if you're contact with someone in the corner and you're messing up that whole entire rhythm section, you just lost 2-3 seconds. It's going to take a lot to make back up.
I think early in the race, it's going to be important to make those passes.
When everybody's bunched up.
If you have the opportunity to make a pass, you got to make it.
Yep.
Later in the race, when guys are a little more spaced out, you got to be a bit more methodical. You don't want to risk making a pass that's going to also make you lose time, because then you might not get to the next guy. You have to be methodical, be smooth, get your rhythms, and try not to case stuff. I mean, I watch these 250 guys. They are struggling with these rhythm sections. Here on screen you got John Short hitting the whoops, and this corner after the whoops is going to be pivotal too because there is no line. It is blue grooved as gets down there. And if you go through the whoops fast, you're outside. And if you go to the inside there, you might be able to sneak under somebody, but you're not going to be able to turn.
And one thing this week, it's a fresh track for these guys, and the whoops every week, we've been jumping them pretty much 95% of the weekends. And these whoops are pretty hard packed and they're pretty big. And I see some guys trying to jump, and it's not working out very well. So that might be something that these guys might practice during the week, but when you come to the races, we haven't been skimming the whoops very often.
No.
So that's something that they're going to have to do, I think, today.
And you can see from up here how V'd out the bottoms are, so you're not going to get that smooth transition. But by being blitzer whoops, it's harder to slow down for a corner that's a 180 like that without a groove, without a berm, anything. It was obviously much easier to hop, pivot. So if you're blitzing, you might see guys going out to the tough blocks almost.
Exactly. You're not going to be able to stop either past that last whoop.
Right.
You can see how shiny it is down there at the end. And that inside of that last whoop is actually bigger than the outside of it to try and push people to the outside to open up that turn. So I think there's going to be some options there. I think we're down on the gate right now watching these guys. I think they're about to start picking their gates for the actual first main event.
And I don't know if we discussed it yet, but it's the ping pong thing they got going on down there.
Yes.
So he's got 3 ping pong, Steve does, another mad scientist thing he came up with, that if you are first in points, which Josh Cartwright is, you go all the way down to 22nd, which is the last 5 250 wild cards. It then turns around, and there's 3 different ways to do it. You can do, one ping pong says just do it all normal. The other ping pong 2 says invert everybody around, so the guy who got 22nd gets first pick. Or they're going to do 1 to 11 and 12 to 22. So, I mean, when does it stop all this madness?
Exactly. And it's unfortunate because Steve actually just sent the message in.
Yeah.
And he drew ping pong ball number 1.
Oh.
So it's perfectly normal, just like last year. So that's going to be a little less dramatic, I think. But, you know, you still got to get the start. It really doesn't matter what gate pick you have if the start isn't executed.
Yeah, this isn't kind of like the inside out. It's not, people aren't line up that way. You're more towards the box. So it's kind of smart guy whoever gets to. So
I was gonna say whatever Steve's crazy ideas is, that's probably the least crazy of everything. So
it's making a good show. Let's throw it down to the 1990 125 East Coast champion, 5-time Dash for Gas champion, a handsome devil. Let's hope he doesn't get stabbed. Debo. Well, thank you, myself. I like the fact that I myself picked out the last corner as probably being the most one of the craziest spots and probably one of the most important sections of the track because of the possible last turn takeout. But if we had to pick something else, it wasn't just about chaos and carnage and killing your guy in front of you. What's something on the track where you think that these guys are going to make some passes, which could change the whole outlook of this race today?
I think just your timing, the consistency of hitting all your jumps, hitting your marks. Again, we've already spoke on it, but the guys on the 250s, the 450s, your bike is slower than normal, and you didn't have very much time on the track. So hitting those jumps consistently every lap and limiting those mistakes.
Much like we saw with Noren again, he pulled the cork really early, got to do that rhythm section really quickly, and as much as it benefited him, it was what bit him in the ass at the end.
Yep. Exactly. So, yeah, exactly. I think you're going to have to go out, execute, but also execute these flat corners, the hard pack, slick ones, not break traction too often. Try to just be a little bit smoother. We've been able to be aggressive on these tracks because they've been so tacky all year. You just got to get out there, execute the best you can. But I also think the biggest, number one important part is the start in the first main.
Yes, and the start is going to be huge. And you guys have obviously gone on to the new starts with the grates and everything like that. It's with the elevation up here. How much slower is that you really treat the bikes off the gate as much as anything?
Yeah, that's something we keep talking about, the bikes being slower on the track. But even I just rode the track for press day, did a few practice starts, and do you start in first gear? Do you start in second gear?
Absolutely.
Did you change your gearing? What did you do to your bike? So the start, as important as it is, like Cade just said, that's not just there's not a lot for us to think about on a normal weekend. But here with the altitude kind of throws that into that factor into it. So the start is going to be trickier than normal, but almost more important than normal even.
And I'm sure all you guys today, you have a routine how you start. You know exactly when you're shifting your points, all that. And again, you're up here. These guys haven't had a chance to really dial their bikes in. Did they have to stop, maybe do some jetting changes or whatever? It's not jetting, obviously, in these bikes, but some different things with the settings and the EPIs and stuff. What would you have done maybe your bike, Cade, that might have changed from practice you didn't like for this before the races?
Well, before I even went out, I probably would have changed my gearing. I probably would have done a small ECU change. All these bikes, you can basically change the mapping a little bit from your phone or something like that. So that's the first 2 things I would do before practice even started.
Right.
And then if I can make a few suspension changes before the next one, I'm going for it.
And then it's just drop the gate and go racing. Yep. So we got a 10-minute parade lap. Oh, yeah, we have a 10-minute break. We'll be right back with the parade lap.
With an idea only a few hundred brands have ever thought of, Verb Moto is once again setting the world ablaze with a truly unique shop to win sweepstakes. That's right, America. When you buy merch at shopverb.com, you are automatically entered in to win $20,000 Yamaha side-by-side and 2 TTRE 110s. Yes, you heard that right. One person will win it all. All you have to do is buy a t-shirt or hat you were already going to buy. Ends June 18th, 2024, so you better start shopping.
Oh, we're back. We're ready to go. Well, we got a parade lap coming up right now. They're picking their stargates. They're warming up the track. Or they're getting it all kind of rounded up, getting rid of some of the very few ruts. These guys are thinking right now, like you said, this is a big deal. You know, we've talked about the difference between races on a Friday. These guys all have a very big race coming up tomorrow, part of the series. But again, is this their home run day right there to make a whole season worth of money in 12 minutes of racing?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
When I raced this 2 years ago, I was more nervous on today on doing this race than I was on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's a lot at stake for these guys money-wise. Like I said, what Steve does for all of these guys is awesome, and it's a big, maybe not life-changing, but it's a big season, difference.
It can get you into next year, everything. And Cade, as I watched you on last weekend, I knew that you were on the bubble a little bit, and you're on my fantasy team, and I saw in the last chance qualifier, I'm like, that sumbitch he's gonna tank this thing. I know it. He's gonna not qualify. He's gonna get into this big money race, and you got a fourth. And I was like,
and I was the guy behind him.
He was the guy behind him.
Yeah. So I was thinking like, well, maybe he's gonna go wide, maybe get one of these to Kyle or something. But no, you raced it full, and you're here watching with us. And are you kicking yourself in the ass yet, or no?
I'm not. It didn't really come into my head. I knew beforehand my results had to be the number one thing all year long.
Sure.
And that's who I am as a racer. It's really cool to be in this race. Being in it last year, I was able to send it the whole race because I knew it was basically a bonus, right? It wasn't going to make or break my life, but if I won, I was walking home with 30 grand. If I crashed out, I didn't make anything. But yeah, man, it's an honor to be in this thing when you can be in it and make that money. But I got to be in main events. I got to get good results for the team and stuff like that. So, am I bummed that I'm not out there, shooting for 30 grand? Of course. But you know what?
I think we both want to be in the main events and in the race.
Exactly. If you can be in both, that'd be great.
And it's great because it's a chance to do a little bit of everything.
Exactly. And they're showing us our starting lineup right now, showing us all the riders again. They are on the gate. Most of the guys have picked their gate for the most part. But, Chiz, who are we thinking your favorite is here?
Man, we talked about this a little bit before, but Masterpool can rip some good starts. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him rip a whole shot and win this first one. But, man, the second moto, he doesn't have a lot of Supercross experience. So I don't know if, let's say, hypothetically, he does rip the whole shot, wins the first one. I don't know how well he's able to come through the pack in a short race. So, man, it's tough. There's a lot of good guys. It's tough to pick one.
Speaking of that, who's the best of these guys? Who would you pick to be the best guy who's proven to come through the pack week in, week out, race by race? The guy could get a 15th place start in the LCQ and still maybe get a fourth.
I would say between Jeremy Hand and Mitchell Harrison, both of those guys have picked their way through. They're both pretty good starters. So if they can get good starts, get a halfway decent finish in the first one, say top 5, I think they have the best shot to win, in my opinion. It just kind of depends on making smart choices, hitting your marks, getting out there, and not making that big mistake that's going to cost you 3 or 4 positions on one lap.
And I think staying out of the trouble, especially in that second main event, the faster guys that maybe win the first one, they need to be really smart coming through the pack and be patient when they need to and attack when they need to, and there's going to be a lot of carnage, I'm predicting.
Yeah.
And they need to try to stay out of that.
And the big thing, too, is even when I race and watching, you can see the seasoned vet guys know where to put themselves in the early laps when they got a bad start and they're stuck in traffic, where the other guys sometimes they dive to the inside where everybody bottles up and the other guy goes around the outside. That's going to be a big thing here. And avoiding guys falling in front of you. That happens a lot of times and ruin a whole night when someone falls in a corner, collects 4 or 5 guys. Or who knows what's going to happen in the first turn. Is somebody just going to go balls to the wall from the inside and just take everybody out to the wall or what?
Exactly.
Good.
I would say the one thing, like obviously you said Masterpool is a great starter, but those Yamahas being at altitude, they are so fast. And I think sometimes Yamahas are at a disadvantage off the grate because they're so fast. It's almost like it's diluted a little bit here, so they're going to be, I think there's a lot of Yamahas on the gate today.
I've had a lot of experience. Obviously, I've rode Yamaha for a long time before the team now, and yeah, they're definitely, definitely a lot of power, so it can help and hurt you.
Yeah, Big Hill, Devin Simonson, those guys are all on the Yamaha 450. I think Jerry's on one as well, and Grant Harlan. So there's a list of dudes in this class that
it's
I think
stacked.
are really,
When I first saw the list, yeah, there's definitely not a favorite. And one thing I noticed rewatching it again, there was a lot of green bikes last year in that race. It looked like 75% of them were Cowies.
Well, the one thing I don't think a lot of people realize is Cowie Contingency is so good for privateers. They pay not just for the main events, but also for the night show. So a lot of privateers choose to ride that bike because that extra $500 a weekend just for being in the night show is a huge win. I think if you watch for the LCQs, that's why there's so many green bikes on the line.
Well, I think it's cool that they do that. It's to make a 450 main event is hard, especially this year. And for a lot of those guys that, maybe they're confident they can make the top 40, but obviously they want to be in the main event. But if not, at least they're walking home with something, some type of contingency. So that's cool that they do that.
And again, hats off to Steve. Did we imagine this would ever grow to this level? Through courtesy through Feld, thank you for them for making this possible, for even putting up with Steve and a bunch of crazy privateers racing on Friday. They're usually a very tight machine, and to let this type of chaos just open on a day before the big race, I'm so impressed as hell.
Yeah, it's awesome for Feld, and good on them for doing this. And Steve has done an amazing job at putting a cool little thing together to help everybody, and awesome of Feld to let it happen.
Another very cool thing is there's the prop bets. A lot of people put money in for riders getting in certain positions, best takeout, best finish, one on lap 8 or some crazy stuff. But one of my good friends, Chris Riesenberg, Checkers Race Tech man, he's doing a second year in a row. The Race Tech Air Wheelie, where $1,100 will win, and it's a judged event. And I think they're going to bust it out here on the parade lap, one at a time. Last year they kind of did it real quick, gave a winner. This year they're going to be voting on it, and I think we'll be releasing the winner on Monday.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, last year I remember going super slow, trying to find my position to do my air wheelie. I thought I had a good one, but I didn't even make it on the podium last year. So we got to watch the finish line here. These guys are on their parade lap. They're going to bust this thing out. This is a big finish line, too, with a roller before it. So I think it's not just going to be an air wheelie, but it's going to be a hope you make it over the landing kind of air wheelie.
And a true air wheelie, I mean, Checkers is damn good at it and always loves mixing pictures in. It's one of those things where you think you're doing it really big, and then someone takes a photo of you, and you're kind of like, at a 45-degree angle. It's a skill set. Mason Kerr, I believe, won last year, took home a good chunk of change. It's a one-time winner-take-all. So we're about to check out some of the air wheelies coming up here after the whoop section.
I just saw guys practicing in the rhythm section. They are ready for this money.
The prop bets are cool. And awesome Race Tech doing that.
And hats off to everybody did that.
Oh, there's tons. Different positions.
Wilson did some money for 15th, I think. AC did one for 9th.
Here comes the first one. Oh, that was a weak one.
Yeah, that's one I would think would be, you're doing on the bike, and you're like, damn, that felt good, but no. That's a little better.
That's better. That's Moran's.
I think Hill must have forgot about it. They must have forgot.
Here comes Stapleton. Oh, that's a good one.
That's good. But, I was waiting for the over the whiskey throttle. Cartwright said, nah, they're not sprinting guys. I bet you guys forgot down there.
Yeah.
Is this Albright? That's a good one.
Albright might have a little advantage. I think Checkers worked with him a couple times.
Oh, A-Rod puts out a big one. I like that. Along Hands. Hands isn't bad.
They're all pretty dang good.
Ooh, Harrison. Ooh, throwing some.
A little wiki whack there.
Yep.
So one of these.
Starling.
Starling crushed it. So one of these guys is going to take home $1,100 on Monday.
Masterpool definitely didn't know about it.
Yeah.
He barely knew about this race coming into it. Simonson's was okay.
John Short.
Iffy.
Oh, here goes Starling. Pretty good.
That's a good one. Is that Rob Bell? Rob Bell's? This is the guy that was practicing in the rhythm section. Cheyenne Harmon. He had some backwards lean to it, at least.
The body's
kind of held it there.
There was a couple good ones. Nothing like Mason Kerr last year.
Last year was a good one.
No.
I was in the manager's tower last year, so I had a front row seat of that one.
Yeah.
Good.
And, we've seen Trey Kennard and those guys do it. And air wheelies are not easy. Let's check out the lineup one more time. We got those 5 guys from 250s who are the wild cards: Welton, Miller, Albright, Leitzel, and Stapleton. How do you think, what's the best guy going to finish on the 250 today, or today, whatever?
Marshall's been riding really well. So is Henry Miller. I feel like one of those two guys, if I had to pick one. It's a toss-up between the two of them, but yeah, they've both been riding really well this year.
Where do you think one of them will start? What's the best start you can get a 250 into these conditions?
I think if you can be mid-pack, that'd be pretty good for them.
If you could be mid-pack, yeah. I think Marshall and Henry can both finish overall between 5 and 10. I think it's going to be hard for them to get through the pack. It's going to be hard for them to get a good start. They're great riders, and it's cool that they're in here, but they've got a tall task in front of them.
And we've seen a lot of lap times, 250s can run same lap times at 450, but when you're on the track together, trying to get out of corners as fast, it's a much bigger challenge.
It's different because you got to take some different lines to get that lap time. You may have to take more outsides, and especially here again, we're going to beat it over and over, but the bikes are slower, so the 250 is even more of a disadvantage. But with all that said, I wouldn't be surprised to see, Miller or Marshall, maybe they get a seventh or something this moto, get a mid-pack start, just stay there, and then they have a mid-pack start for the next one, and they stay there again. They have a good chance at getting a podium on the overall.
Very much so. Again, I'd say I think that this winner's going to win with a 4-3, 5-3, something like that.
Yeah.
I think the guy might go 110. It's going to be. I'm just looking forward to seeing how these guys can get through the pack, and if there will be any tactics. But again, we're all racers. You race to win. It's kind of hard in your mentality to go, I need to pick something else. It doesn't usually work out.
Yeah, like Cade said earlier, I think this first moto, you got to try to get the win. You have two scores. If you need one of them to be the lowest, sure. So if you can get a 1 or a top 3 in this first race, that's a big one. Even though you're starting in the back the second moto, I think it's still an advantage.
And you guys, have either one of you done a single file restart yet in Supercross? Have you been part of that?
Yep.
Where were you started at? Mid-pack?
I'm usually in the back.
Yeah, middle somewhere, yeah.
It's tough because you can't pass until you get through those blocks, right? So you kind of have to follow the leader.
The first turn really, it makes it weird because you go from, okay, I can't pass to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it kind of sets the track up weird.
And you're not coming in the first turn like you would normally when it starts. So your rhythm's all probably off, your heart rate, your way you're looking at things,
The 30 board's up, man. Let's get after it. This is going to be exciting. Wilbur's down there.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of talking. Let's see the action. And this is what's going to change. This is going to set the stage for everything right now.
Here we go.
Moto 1 of the PulpMX Privateer Challenge. Live
Mitchell
from
Harrison.
Denver, Colorado.
Mitchell executed his start perfectly. He's on off. It will be a big surprise to me if he does not win this race.
We had talked about Mitchell. I wasn't quite expecting him to get a whole shot. I thought he was going to be more of a mid-pack, upper front guy. Big collection.
crash.
Second and third down just like that.
Is that Schlosser, I think? Is that who it was, landing on A-Rod?
Slosher and A-Rod, they're both down.
We talked about this.
A-Rod dove to the inside to make the pass, and Schlosser committed.
Cartwright's down as well.
Yep.
4 guys right now just still getting their bikes going.
Yeah, and landed right on the back of him.
This is what we talked about, the opening lap carnage. With 1 guy or 2 guys can collect everybody.
Hunter's bike is destroyed. Man, if I was him, I'd go to the mechanics area, get that thing worked on and ready for the second main. That's your best
first
bet.
pick.
First pick.
And I think that's one of the prop bets. First guy to DNF, I think he got like $200.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mitchell's already out to a huge lead here.
Yeah, big lead. Is that Hand in second and Hill in third. National fourth and Moran's fifth.
Oh man, this is going to shape up to be really good because a lot of good guys are at the front, but there's also some good guys at the back. Cartwright's back there in 18th right now, so he's pretty far back. But yeah, man, Mitchell looks pretty good right now up front if he can keep ticking off these laps.
These front 5, it seemed to have pulled away top 3, top 4, but the back of the pack, the middle between about 8th to 15th, is crazy right now.
Yeah, they're pretty bunched up.
Jerry Robin just went down again off screen, so he's really far back as well, not looking great. But man, the track, it looks so much more hard than earlier when we rode Chiz. Like it is already starting to dry out and get hard.
Yeah, the more they work on it, like you said, they put that sand on top, and everywhere that they've went and prepped the track since we've rode, you can see the sand mixing in, and then that harder base is just coming out more and more. So yeah, it's going to get more slippery, and I think it'll change even for the second moto for these guys.
Yep, exactly.
The years I've watched up here, it's even gotten blue groove by the end of the night on Saturday.
Yep. Yeah, you can see the base going into the last corner there. We got some dust coming up, and it's pretty hard back in spots.
Jeremy Hansen second. That's one of your favorites, Cade, and Mitchell Harris another favorite. Mitchell's making this look really easy.
I'm happy that both my picks are out front right now.
Yeah.
I was pretty spot on that. They haven't had to come through the pack just yet. You see Josh Hill coming up on Jeremy Hand here. I was just watching Jeremy off screen, and he nearly slid out after the whoops. Like I said, that hard pack corner is going to bite somebody at some point. But man, they're coming through the whoops so fast, and it's trying to stop right there.
Down, yeah.
Exactly.
Don't touch the front brake on that on a hard pack with marbles.
Yep. We see those guys who crashed earlier. They're all still out there, so no DNFs just yet.
Some of the 250 riders to note, we see Welton back in 13th. We see Miller back in 15th. So they definitely struggled off the gate.
Yep.
They definitely did. They might have gotten caught up in that early crash as well. Stapleton is in 10th. He's the top running 250 guy at the moment.
Oh, Harlan. big mistake.
These guys are struggling hard in the whoops. I don't understand. Harlan's down at the end of the whoops. There is a lot of chaos going down.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is that everybody's going to the inside. You're getting no drive.
Yeah.
And
Very hard and slippery.
And the whoops are very hard packed. We've seen them very soft this year, as we talked about. And the easiest thing was just to hop through them. These things are beat out. And once you're not getting on top of them, they end up rolling through them. So a different technique we have not seen in a while. Let's just get our money's worth to get the downside of every whoop.
Yeah.
Right now on screen, you're watching Moran's and Rod Bell. They're battling for 5th and 6th right now. Both great riders. Moran's, who's a great starter. Both of these guys, you know, with a little bit further up gate pick in the second one, or not gate pick, but starting position, they could end up pretty far up as well. That's the big thing you got to remember is you end up with a 5th. You're in front of the guys who beat you. So if you're able to beat them and get those positions back, you know, the tiebreaker comes from the better second moto. So that's a big thing as well.
You're getting to start in front of those guys that you need to beat anyways. So a little advantage right off the get-go.
And when you're first, again, you're last in that second moto, you have the fastest guys in the past.
Yep.
So it gets to a point where like maybe 6th or 7th that are back around, maybe have a little easier guys to get through and get to the traffic a little faster than the guys that way back.
Yeah, the guys that are going to be right in front of you.
Sure.
You know, if they finish the way they are, you know,
Yeah.
you're going to have Harrison trying to pass Hand and Hill and Masterpool and Morantz and these guys. So, and they're going to be trying to do that while they're moving through the pack. So it'll be tough.
Masterpool's right there still as well. He could still get up there on Hill. I think that's why Hill is so urgently trying to get to Hand, is he doesn't want to lose a spot. And I mean, second, you know, it's not as good as first, but it's still a low score going into that last one. And at least, you know, Mitchell's clearly the fastest guy right now. And to me, it looks like he's almost saving energy. He's not pulling away as much as he was. So if he can save a little bit of energy for that last main, it's really going to help him as he's picking through the field, because that's when the chaos, I think, is going to really ensue.
Yeah, he got that good start, and he's able to just kind of control the race and stay out of the chaos and the mess.
That berm right there that he just came out of, it's starting to get real ruddy. You can see that where they put the water down in those berms, it's going to get ruddy. But then, like I said, like the whoops are blue groove. These guys are scared to skim right now.
They're really double them now, yeah.
Yeah, most people are jumping them.
It's interesting. You know, this rhythm section over here looks treacherous as well. Some ruts. Like I said earlier, they mix that sand in, so certain spots are holding moisture where other spots are just not.
Well, we're about to wrap up the 5-minute mark, get that one lap to go, but it's you should probably hit it this lap. Mitchell's got almost a 7-second lead. Do you think he's out front knowing he's going to have to come through the pack, maybe trying some different lines, checking things out? Or is he just taking good things in hand, like just get this race done?
I would be for sure. He definitely looks like he's cruising.
Sure.
Because those guys are starting to catch him. But, man, it is weird. The whoops must be super edgy right now. We see I believe the white flag just came out for these guys. So this is going to be a last lap battle between Jeremy Hand and Josh Hill.
And Hill, we had barely seen this year. He's obviously doing a lot of things, having fun. Just joined the Monster Freestyle life a little bit as well, and coming and doing some racing. And here he jumps the inside of Hand.
Ooh, makes a pass for second.
It's like which Josh Hill's going to show up some weekends.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a clean pass right there.
Yeah.
He's doing a little bit different rhythm.
Yeah, Hand made a little mistake. He tried to go over that tabletop and triple, and he wasn't able to. And yeah, Hill made the pass.
Hill has a very technical style. He can get over obstacles. You see him trying to step over that tabletop and just do something a little bit different. He's really good at working his motorcycle, where I feel like myself and some of these other guys, we're more bulldogs. We just kind of plow through things.
And he's going to be more likely the first guy to jump something.
Oh, 100%.
On every level. You know, he could be with the A practice, he could be the first guy. So I think, again, that benefits him. We talked earlier, they had very little time on the track. He was able to figure things out. And I think we're getting ready for the checkered flag from Mitchell Harrison. Your guys, pretty much your favorites. You picked them well. All pretty much 1-2-5 right now.
Yeah, these guys have been riding good all year, so it's kind of they had 4 or 5 guys that we thought could win.
That's what makes the change so nice with the second moto. This would have been pretty much not scripted, but knowing what's going to happen once the race or the start happened. Now, it's all new for everybody, knowing what's going to happen. Look at the battle right now with 5 guys going to this last corner.
Jeez.
There's a couple 250s in that battle right there as well. This is hectic. Durant Stapleton might get a 2-for-1 right here.
Almost.
He got one.
And every one of those spots in this Olympic scoring is going to matter.
Yep. That was for the top 10 right there.
Yes.
And I think this could be really important. I think there's going to be a lot of ties going into this last main. I think guys, there's going to be an 8-8. There's going to be all these different scores that end up tying one another. And the second moto matters. That matters the most. So
the scores are going to be so jumbled up just with what they're about to do with inversing and the single file start. It's going to be.
And it's going to be a quick turnaround. It might only been a 5-minute plus 1 lap race. The heart rate did get up. It's in altitude again. Who's got some of the best fitness maybe for this to do this next race, and especially if you finish top 5, who's got the energy to push the pack?
Yeah,
exactly. And we see Hunter Slosher. He ended up last. Cheyenne Harmon just in front of him. So they're going to start 1-2. They had a pretty not ideal race.
Right.
Hunter obviously had got a whole shot, basically a whole shot, and crashed right there early. So, these results, you basically look from the bottom up. That's going to be your starting order. Your fastest guy by far, who is Mitchell Harrison, he will be off the back, and he'll just try to pick his way through the field as fast as he can.
Just get to the front where you can do the best you can and then just tally things up. So my question again is, are the mechanics able to pit board them and let them know where they're at? Are they even going to know what the overall is? We'll be knowing it because it'll be on screen for us. We'll have the benefit of that, but you just get done with the race and go, man, I hope I won.
I guess. I mean, we're watching on screen right now. My teammate is chugging a Coke. So he's got an interesting technique down there trying to get pumped up for this next main.
A quick cigarette and a Coors Light.
I guess so. It's funny. They're obviously sitting on the gate right now. Someone's going to go down there with the results. They probably are going to have about 5 minutes to catch their breath.
We're down with Jason Thomas right now.
Well, we're here with Mitchell Harrison, the winner of race 1 of the Yamaha LCQ PulpMX Challenge. Tell us a little bit, very windy conditions out here, obviously kind of breaking the track in. What are your thoughts? And also, did you think about the format a little bit and maybe not winning this first one would how that would play into the second race?
For one, the wind, I really didn't feel it out there, but I saw some hay bales down, so it's a little concerning. And the track was really good. They added a lot of sand, and I just rode it really smooth. It's got some good rhythms. Nothing too technical. But yeah, the format. Everybody goes in my ear trying to say get like a 5.7, 5. I'm like, thank you for them for putting on this LCQ race and all this money. It's awesome. I just want to win. So however I can do that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go out, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I want to go whole shot win, and now this one I'm going to have some fun, and I'm going to race with a lot of good friends, and it's going to be a great time.
How do you think passing will be in the second one? You're going to start in the back. Obviously, every position is going to be critical for that overall finish. Did you find some places in that first one you'd be able to make some quick moves here in the second one?
I really think that if you're just really precise with where you put your bike, you're going to be making a lot of passes. It's challenging. The track's challenging in that way, where it's kind of, you got the softer and goes right into a hard. And if you just ride your own race, you're going to make a lot of passes in it. I mean, you're going to have to get aggressive, but not too aggressive.
Good luck in this second one.
Thank you.
Well, there you got our first moto winner, and him being your teammate. Cade, did you guys have any type of deal worked out where he's going to buy everybody dinner tonight or anything? I mean, that should have been already handled.
He better. Mitchell's kind of a cheap guy. He's not exactly the most
flamboyant with his cash.
Exactly, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I think he's able and willing to be aggressive. So if he can be aggressive, get through the pack, get through a couple of the guys who are right in front of him quickly, that's the hard part, right? If Hill gets through guys faster than he can, then once he gets through those guys, Hill's already gone.
Yeah.
And if Hill beats him by one position, they tie, Hill wins the overall.
It's kind of like watching, I guess, Vial and Deegan last round. They both started mid-pack, backpack in that 2D race, and had to come through the pack together, knowing that the guy behind him, Hayden, might bomb Tom. And that's kind of what we're going to have to see here. Like, you got to get through the pack, knowing the guy right on your ass might be the guy who passes you and takes the win just because of that 1 point.
100%.
Sometimes too, like for Mitchell, he'll be behind and he knows he has to beat that guy. And sometimes you can use that to your advantage. As you're coming through the pack, you can kind of like, okay, he made the pass, I'm going to make the pass too. And you can kind of use that guy as like a buffer to make the passes with him, and he can keep the guy he needs to beat in sight the whole race.
Yeah.
Hopefully, for him.
Chiz knows all about that because he likes to follow leaders through the person in front of him. He'll wait till he's getting lapped in the main events to pass the people in front. Chiz knows all about it.
Just watch
But
out.
you do know a lot of, you came to the back of the pack a lot of times in heat races, but a lot in last chance qualifiers. You be 12th halfway through, and all of a sudden here comes Chiz, ready to Chiz.
I was trying, and he stopped me last week.
Yeah,
so
well,
one short.
That's going to be a big point, and I've seen Mitchell come to the pack a handful of times Josh has not raced a lot this year. I've seen him try and dive bomb guys at times. That's not one of his skill sets. So Josh might struggle a little bit having to come through that pack, not having as much seat time as the other guys in the track are.
I also think fitness is going to start to come in play here.
Sure.
I think Mitchell was trying to save some energy, but on the podium, like, he did sound a little winded.
And he had nobody pushing him either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is altitude. This is a real thing.
It dries you out, your pace mouth when you get done.
Yeah, and we might not be noticing it, but they were saying it. If it's windy down there and that's what is blowing these tough blocks around, that's going to dry this dirt out extremely fast. And the track's going to change even in this 5 minutes. And they're hitting these jumps and rhythms. It's blowing them around. It adds some tension to your body as you're out there riding.
The comfort level drops a little bit. Yep. Everything tightens up. The arm pump, as Cooper Webb would talk about. And I don't know if we could talk enough about this second race. I'm really excited to see how it works out. Obviously, Steve's down there on the gate trying to figure it all out, get these guys lined up. Do you think guys will jump the start? I mean, how stringent do you think that they think Steve might be on judging that?
I don't think they're willing to risk it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think you're willing to risk the money for like that little bit of an advantage. You know, everyone on the gate's going to make extra money. It's basically, like I said earlier, a bonus.
Sure.
So the more you can make, it is what it is. But we all know the rule. You can't pass until you go by the chalk line and the tough block. But the one thing you got to remember is there's like a 10-foot gap, you will show it here in a minute, from the tough block to the actual first turn. That first turn is an ice skating rink.
Yeah.
And if you just tap the back of someone's rear wheel, kind of like in car racing, you could spin them out. You go down in the first turn, even with a good gate pick, you're going straight to the back, and your day's over.
And that's what I was going to suggest too. Obviously, you're now coming to the first turn completely different than you ever used to. You're not sure how fast the guy in front of you is going, how much he's going to slow down. If it's going to do the bumper car effect where a rider 5 guys up will start braking too soon, and everybody's just collected. So I remember seeing Max Volan on a single file race a couple years ago crash in the first turn, and I'm like, man, that is the worst thing you want to do.
That's what I said earlier. You know, it's weird because you're like, okay, go, but don't pass anybody. And then you cross the chalk line, you're like, bam, go, you got to go. And you can pass them right away as soon as you pass that. So that first turn, it can be awkward, throwing your rhythm off, kind of getting into the race and kind of getting going.
It's kind of like doing the practice starts in the fake start in practice.
Yep.
You're not sure how aggressive everybody's going in. It could take one guy hitting the brakes too soon to just cause chaos.
Yep.
So we see Cheyenne Harmon coming down. Is Hunter not going out? Oh, Hunter, here he comes. He's coming down just a little bit late.
No rear fender.
No rear fender.
Freestyle bike.
He's the one who got landed on.
And you know, we see, look on our list here, you have some pretty decent guys that had bad races in that first one that could take off and win this one. You got A-Rod, Jerry Robin, Arlen, Josh Cartwright, who won last year. Those guys could get out to a clear track and kind of run away with this one too. And then, that mixes up, how far does Mitchell or Hill or Hand actually make it up through the pack. So that's what makes this interesting.
And Robin's made a handful of main events as well this year. So he's dealt with the last year's qualifiers. He's done with the main events. I think he has to be a little bit of the favorite right now just due to the fact of what he's kind of done throughout the year. Cartwright would be nice, but he doesn't seem to have that number one plate mojo going today. Even this season seems a little bit off. I mean, again, I think all attention is going to have to be focused on those bottom 5 guys.
Yeah, how do they come through the pack? And like we said, they got to be smart, stay out of the trouble, and pass as many guys as they can.
There's going to be chaos at some point. We said it before the race started, and then 2 turns in, boom, somebody gets landed on. Thankfully, all those guys were okay. But that stuff happens, right? Guys go down, and you have to give yourself enough of a little bit of a gap to people for when, stuff goes sideways. You got to be able to shoot those little gaps and, drive through the smoke.
Pivot and miss it and stay out of that trouble.
Get it, Cole.
Yeah, exactly, right?
And I think the first race played out kind of how we thought it would, right? The best guys won for the most part, besides a couple that maybe had a crash. But there still was some chaos. Now this is where it's really kind of turning things on its head because you put all those fast guys behind everybody, and I'm curious.
That first race basically played out like a normal LCQ. A few good guys who deserved to make the main made the main, and there was a few good guys that had chaos that were at the back. Like that's a true LCQ every single weekend. But now's when the real fun begins. I'm so excited.
And that's why Steve did this, exactly what he said. I heard last year guys who got 7th were happy with that to make whatever money they made. And he's like, no. No one's just going to be cruising around to collect a check. Like, you're going to have to earn this a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's big, like you said, the mechanics. I don't think guys are, for the most part, are going to know where they're at overall.
No, I can't imagine. Yeah, unless you got your calculator down there or something like that.
Maybe those guys that had the low scores at the first one, a Hill and a Master Pool and Harrison and those guys, they might know, like, okay, I know I need to beat Hill.
Right.
But they might, if they end up 7th or 8th, and you got, Jerry Robin or somebody else or Cartwright, and he wins this one, it can end up being really close. And
Masterpool and, I don't think it's any secret, Masterpool and Harlan are counting the days till outdoor starts.
Yes, sir.
And now they have the opportunity to be up front right here. It seems like, how far are they going to push it, for a little bit of extra money, or is it just like, let's just get these things healthy, go cash a nice check, and be ready for Pala in a month?
Well, Harlan's a good friend of mine, and I know he wants to do well in this race. I know it's a big weight off everyone's shoulders to walk home with 10 grand or something, and I know that they're just over 100 grand for the payout right now. You can buy tickets on PulpMX.com. All the money goes to the guys racing today.
And you can buy tickets through Monday.
Through Monday night.
So you can still go get tickets and support these guys.
Well, yeah, and that raffle tickets to win the YZ450, I believe. And last year, I think there was almost like an extra 20 that went into it in these last 2 days before the Monday.
The 30 board's back up with Wilbur.
Yeah. I didn't recognize Wilbur in his pink shoes down there.
Man, he looks cleaned up. He looks good.
Last time I think he was in a dress, I believe.
I think they had to tighten up the rules a little bit.
Tighten up a little bit. Got a clean image.
If I'm not mistaken, the board will go sideways, and then within 5 to 10, they'll wave the green flag, and that's when the first guy goes.
Correct. So I'm very curious about how this first turn goes, see how these guys make it through there, who's going to bump and bang.
I think you'll see some aggression right off the bat.
This is what it's all about. Just why Steve put this event together with this crazy second moto. And
oh, man. Logan Leitzel already having issues.
And you're just seeing him follow the leader all the way through. So he came out single file. Not a lot happened in that first turn.
And look at like Mitchell Harrison. Look how far behind just track position-wise he is from the leaders. And they got a lot of ground to make up.
Hunter is a great rider. He's leading still, obviously, up front. If he could get a little bit of a gap, I feel like he could win this second main. Mitchell Harrison already by Josh Hill back there.
You can see that he made sure to make that pass quick.
Yeah, they were going in that second turn, the three of them, Hand, Harrison, and Hill, all H's obviously, going for it. They knew that these three guys are kind of battling to get through the pack as fast as possible. But we're seeing the whoops now. Slosher, he's got himself in a couple mains this year and had put in some fast results in 250s in the past.
Oh, man, Mitchell Harrison's down off camera.
Oh. Well, there went that one.
He's down.
He's not buying you dinner tonight, Cade.
No, it's not happening.
He's back up and going, so it'll be interesting how far he can get up.
He tried to put that aggressive move on Jeremy Hand, and Jeremy shut the door on him. But Hunter is still out front. A-Rod's out there. They're getting after it. Cheyenne Hammon's still up there. Jerry's up to fourth. So those guys, all of those guys could win this race. They get a little bit of a gap. This could get really interesting with some very different guys way up front.
Oh, A-Rod going for the pass for the lead.
And as you guys both know, on the hard dry, when it gets slippery in these corners, that makes it even harder to block pass because then you've got a front end's pushing.
So if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the leader up right now. And like I said earlier, all those ties, obviously the race is going to change a lot. But A-Rod is currently leading with 20 points.
Oh, he makes a mistake there.
Top five tied with 20 points.
Top five are all tied with 20 points. 3 of those guys are on 250s. So not going any way we thought it would.
Well, the thing's happening, which I think is Sasha's holding a good pace up front, but he is stacking. It is stacking up behind him.
The stacking is what's going to create chaos here. Jeremy Hand looks like he's made it through the pack the most of these guys.
He's got Masterpool and Hill right there with him, kind of following him through.
Miller now up to the lead with not only 19 points by a simple pass, but there is so much going to change between this top 10 right now, top 20, top 15, all these guys.
And then just like that, it changed again. Jeremy Hand to the lead. But now A-Rod takes the lead up into first, so he may jump a couple spots.
Yeah, Jerry Robin got into third there too, so he looks like he's pushing up to the front.
Man, this is going to get good. Oh, man, Slosher just made a mistake in that rhythm section. You're going to allow Jerry Robin to sneak by more than likely here at the end of it. But, man, if A-Rod could get out and get away, the problem he has is he's now stuck at 20 points. He can't really do any better than that.
Masterpool off camera, he's down in the long rhythm section, so he's going to be way back.
Oh, that's no good for him. And like we said, man, it's going to be about mistakes and being able to pick your way to the front as best as you can.
It's absolutely insane, though, that the points right now are 3:15 for 18, 11:6 I think, or whatever for 19, or 18:1 now, or whatever with Rodriguez. I mean, it is every corner, every lap. This overall is changing.
Oh, Tristan Lane is in the lead now in the overall with a 13 and a 5. No, now Hand is back there.
And it hasn't worked out
crazy.
very well at all for the guys who finished top 5 the first moto. Other than, I guess, Hand is 30 with the 3:14 lead, and Hill is 2:16 with 18 back and forth.
And look, we got Marshall Welton on the 250 in third right now in the overall as they run.
Yep.
Well, I think we need to just do this tomorrow night.
Yeah, this is actually turning out to be really good. Guys with rough races, Moran's, Simonson, Harrison, they're all way back. They were up there early in the first one, so they're obviously not going to have good overalls. But my prediction, Jeremy Hand, he's leading the way right now. The scoring isn't updating until they get past the finish line. So these guys are obviously making passes as they lap, as they go do another lap. But we're just going to see those numbers completely drop, and guys like Rodriguez and stuff might get bumped out of the top 5 because he had that 18 in the first moto. So even with a 1, he can't get any better than what he has.
Yeah. These other guys are going to keep moving up in the back.
It is cool, though. There's a few sections where it is opening up and allowing different lines and options and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see how it shapes up for tomorrow.
Yeah, like we said, they put so much sand in the track and mixing it in. And like we said before, the track's going to kind of change even for this second moto for these guys. So it is opening it up. You can see them doing some different rhythms in the sections now, and they're probably getting used to their bikes and the power as well.
Josh Hill made some moves that time. Jeremy Hand must have made a mistake because he is in front of him now.
Yeah,
so we have a new overall leader.
Yep, Josh Hill.
Wild. This is just exactly what we were hoping
What's
for.
even wilder is we're almost to the white flag already.
We got 11 seconds left.
So
And the back of the pack, Hill's moved all the way up to 13th from the 21st gate pick.
Yep.
Hand is up from 4th or 3rd to up to 14th. So that, I think, is going to be the battle, because there are more places they can get around, the more they're going to move up.
Oh, this is going to change again because Josh Hill went down.
Oh.
So oh no, okay, sorry, I had two guys mixed up.
There's a white flag out. Yep. So 1 lap to go.
We could make this go on for another 10 minutes, really, I think.
This is great. I love this.
I mean, look at the battles from 4th back right now. So everybody's taking different lines, and I think that's what's cool, because we are seeing a lot of lines being used today, which hopefully translates into tomorrow night's racing.
Mitchell Harrison, as I said, with the 1 in the first one, he passed enough guys. He's all the way back up onto the podium. That's what that 1 does for you in the overall, right? A 1:15 puts you on the box.
Yep. And Hill's got a 2:11, and he's got a pretty comfortable little lead right now this last lap.
He's got a 3-point lead as well coming in this last lap, so Harrison's going to need to do a lot to make this happen. Lane can't really improve his score, and Hand can improve his score, but he needs to pass like 4 or 5 guys in this last half a lap.
Harrison does have a good little group of guys right in front of him that he could maybe make a pass on.
And Hill's still picking off guys, so each time he picks off someone, the guys behind him got to go even further.
A-Rod's hitting
Someone just went down in the whoops.
Jeremy Hand just got put off the track, and Harrison's going to make a pass on a couple guys. That might have... Nope.
Second place, so he's going over the finish. That is Schlosser. Nope, that was the second. He's 4th.
Hill makes a pass last turn.
Here he is. Let's see who wins this overall, man.
He gets that with a 2:10.
Mitchell jumps to 2nd there with a 1:13.
Yep.
So the guys who won the podium from the first moto set the stage for the second one. Hill wins this whole thing, the PulpMX Privateer Challenge. Harrison, who won the first moto, gets 2nd. And Tristan Lane gets 3rd, finished off the box.
Man, you see these guys, they all just happy, right? This is a cool thing that Steve does, right? We don't have to pay to enter it. We basically just come out and get the opportunity to race and make this money. Some of these guys, they're going to make 20, 30 grand, depending on where it ends up being. So it's really cool that Steve's able to do this. And, I won this a few years ago before it was an actual race. And I tell Steve all the time, man, that money basically changed my life. So it's really cool that, he can help all these guys out.
It's awesome. The fact that Feld lets us come in here, that lets him race on a perfectly groomed track. It just shows how important the privateer riders are to the sport. They make a lot of the entertainment. They're the guys who are putting their teeth to the grindstone every weekend, driving a lot of the races. I've been a privateer off and on. You guys have been privateers. You know how hard these guys work week in, week out. It's a lot of work to fund each round. So congratulations to all these guys, all 22 guys for being a part of this event.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, a lot of money that these guys spend to be out here and compete every week too. So yeah, what Steve does, it puts a little bit back in their pockets. And
congratulations to Josh Hill, who pretty much did what you thought he would do, not him personally, but by getting 2nd the first moto, those points were already in his hand of having one of the lowest scores, and then followed up with a lot of passing in that second moto and to get all the way up to 10th.
I think what could have been for Mitchell Harrison, he was in front of Josh Hill when he crashed, trying to put a move on Jeremy Hand. He said it on the podium. You couldn't be too aggressive, and he was too aggressive.
Went in that bull corner and tucked the front end, dropped back. So, I mean, he ended up losing the race by 3 spots, and I guarantee that was the difference between winning and losing $30,000. So remind him that when he's in the truck.
I definitely will.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's still having a good day.
Yeah, he's still making a good day. Yes, last year
day.
when I got second, I took home 18 grand, and I'm pretty sure I paid John Short, whose spot I ended up taking because he was injured.
Oh, yeah.
Like 5 grand. So for second, you're still making a good chunk of change.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you see Josh, he's pumped.
Yeah, he probably just got told that he ended up winning, so this is pretty exciting for him.
You think he just found out? That's even better.
Well, I mean, that's the crazy part,
Yeah.
right? When you're on the track, like, you truly have no idea. The goal is to just pass as many guys as you can and give yourself the best opportunity that's possible.
And it goes by so fast. You know, I mean, it's a 5-minute moto, so it went about 8 laps. And who knew where even position you were? All you saw was guys in front of you, heads down. You're just like, keep moving forward.
Yeah, like I said, the mechanics, I bet they didn't even know for the most part. So they're just racing to race, and wherever they finish, they finish.
Well, final thoughts? Or we're throwing it down to Josh? Are we throwing it down to JT? Well, all right. Okay. Well, not even final thoughts. Again, the success of this race each year has grown. I think the attention of it's grown. And we just saw a great battle from Josh, who I didn't even think he was going to maybe race this race. I didn't think he'd get the points. I wasn't sure if he'd show up at Philly or not.
Well, Josh made it in. He passed. I was in 17th in points last weekend, and Josh made it in. And he said the only reason he came to Denver was to race this race because he got in. He's not even racing tomorrow. He's going from here to Cam Zink's house for some mountain biking stuff.
Crazy.
So it's funny that he's even here.
And that just shows how talented he is. We've known Josh a lot of years. I've known him since on Mini Riders. He sponsored when I was at Smith Optics. He's had an outstanding career. He's had some injuries, and he left for a while, and he came back. And he's obviously been a huge part of Supercross. He's all over the Monster YouTube stuff he does. And then he comes out and just says, I think I'll ride this race.
Well, we said that earlier, right? He's one of the most talented riders. He'll jump anything out there. And
he's super technical. And he's able to maneuver his bike wherever he needs to. He probably figured out how he could still skim those whoops. I'm not even going to lie. Those whoops looked pretty easy earlier looking at them. Yeah. And those guys made them look hard.
We're doubling.
And look at them now from up here in the booth. Like they don't even look like they've been ridden on. They're hard as rock.
No, exactly.
And we know how ruthless that can be. Let's throw it down to Podium with JT.
Second one, it's looked pretty easy for you. We'll see what it turns out to be in the overall, though.
Honestly, there was no strategy. The first race just sucked. I got landed on. I wanted to do my best. I started second. I wanted to win because I felt like if you were last in the stagger start, you decided your fate. You were going to have to pass people, and you weren't controlling your own race. Where with what happened to me, I was at the mercy of whatever happened, and I did not like being in that spot. I feel like I was better than that. The show was amazing. I'm glad you guys put this together for us, and yeah, I just wish I would have done better in the first race.
Well, I will fill you in. Mitchell Harrison started last in that second one. He had issues trying to get through the pack. So I know it didn't really work out in the first race they wanted to, but he had a really tough time in the second one trying to work through the pack. So maybe it was for the best anyway.
Yeah, definitely there's strategy on it, but I would have been much happier with the 7th, 8th place and 22nd in that first lap of the first moto. So it is what it is. Again, I had fun, I enjoyed it, and we'll look forward for it next year. Hopefully I don't have to be here because I'll make every main, but it was awesome.
Great job. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, that was JT interviewing Anthony Rodriguez. Oh, turn around here.
Back.
So, again, thank you to Feld. Thank you to everybody involved. Josh Hill crushed it. We're going to be talking hopefully with Josh Hill a little bit from JT. He was ecstatic. The other guys, obviously Josh, he said it's not racing. What are these guys thinking going into tomorrow? You both done this event. You a little warmed up for tomorrow? You know the track probably better than anybody.
Well, Tristan Lane, congratulations, 3rd overall. It was honestly chaos trying to keep up with the first race, the second race, and the overall scores, but you have to be happy to walk out of here with the podium.
Listen, with the podium is amazing. Safe, also amazing. Shout out to Steve Mathis and the whole PulpMX crew putting us on. I mean, for us privateers, this is so helpful. I think everyone knows that, but obviously budget's tight, and this really helps our program. So, yeah, it was a great race overall.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
Bring up Mitchell Harrison. Well, your strategy worked. You won that first race, and I wasn't
sure how that was going to go, and then you even went down on the first lap of the second race, but here you are, 2nd overall, so I will give you credit. Your strategy worked in the end.
Yeah, it did. I had Josh in the beginning. I got him right away, and then I fell trying to get Jeremy. I think I was just was a little too anxious trying to get through the pack, and it bit me. But, I rode really well and got through again and managed to get second. I was like, maybe I'll get top 5 or so, whatever. And, I got second, so I'm thrilled with that.
Good job.
Thank you.
Well, Josh Hill, I can remember watching on the podium winning an actual 450 main event in 2008 in Minneapolis. This is not that, but you're back here. You won today on a Yamaha again. Congratulations. Talk about what this race means to you. And hey, this is a lot of money you won today.
It's awesome to no longer be a one-time Supercross winner. I just came out and got it done. I mean, the first moto, I didn't know what to do with the whole setup. Should I sandbag it? Like, I was in second or third, and I thought about going backwards, but just decided, I'm just going to do my best, get this good score, and then I had no idea what the finish was going to be when I came off the track. So to win this, I'm stoked. I can't thank Steve at PulpMX for putting this on, guys at Yamaha for putting up the bike. Everybody that watches and supports these privateers is awesome. I mean, it's hard to make money doing this, and this event really is a cool thing and vital to keep the sport alive.
Great job.
Thank you.
Let's do a real quick recap with Cade. What do you think? Did it live up to the hype?
It lived up to the hype, I think. There was no big takeouts, nothing too aggressive, but everyone came out of it relatively safe, I think. We only saw one pretty big crash. A lot of crashes in the first one, not so much in the second one. I think those guys were a little bit winded here at altitude. They don't really do races that long, most of those guys, because they don't make main events. Some of them do. So I think we saw some good racing. We saw some well-earned money. They had to earn it this year. They had to get those passes. They had to be aggressive. I mean, it went all the way down to the last lap because we didn't know who was going to win with those guys making those passes.
And Kyle, the format worked out, and we kind of thought what might play out, but I don't think anyone predicted the winner. Again, what did you take away from this?
I think it's kind of what we thought, which was all good. Not too many big takeouts. Nothing crazy happened. Everybody looked safe. But that second one was crazy. The leaderboard was changing every
minute,
lap, the whole time. This guy's winning. I think that's what Steve wanted, and that's what we got. It was awesome.
I believe it was an outstanding race. I think we got exactly what we wanted. Congratulations and hats off to Steve for creating a great format, creating a great opportunity for a ton of great riders to make a lot of money. And for my co-hosts, Cade, Kyle, thank you for coming up.
Thank you for having us.
And I'm Denny Stephenson. The PulpMX Privateer Challenge brought to you by Verb Moto, and thank you to Feld as well. We'll see you tomorrow.
Glenn t-shirts got you down. Is your drip capping too hard? Dude, that line is so cringe. Verb is here to help. Shop our all-new merch line for a chance to win this Yamaha side-by-side, and those 2 TTR 110Es, and 20 grand in these bad boys. How do you know if they're real? Oh, you can see it.